It's time for To the Max Sports, where we talk about sports. They're just two guys, Max and Drew, in a bar talking all things sports. Well, without the bar. And the beer. Wait, why aren't we in the bar?
Hello, folks, and welcome to the Flying Whipper Production Studios. I'm in the broadcast booth here live with Brother Bob. We have an empty seat here. Jeff couldn't make it this evening. He's got other events going on, but
I think it's because you're not taking a shower regularly.
Well, that's true, but can't bathe all the time. Water's getting expensive.
Yeah. I actually saw recently that gas is more expensive than water.
That's true.
Or it was something crazy. It looks like gas is coming down again.
Well,
so
you know what?
nice.
When we were kids, did you ever think when you're drinking out of that hose that you could have bottled it and sold it for $3 in a little plastic bottle like they do now? And when was the last time you drank some actual fountain sink water?
Without putting it through my Brita or my Pure?
Right.
Probably decades.
And that's
decades.
And that's how we live forever. You just poured yourself a glass of sink water. My, how times have changed.
We didn't know better.
We didn't know better. Well, obviously we didn't know better on our picks either. So have you completely shit the bed? Do you have anything?
No. I have Texas Tech still in it, and I think I definitely think they're going to advance to the Elite Eight. I think they're going to beat Duke.
Okay.
They have a really, really good defense, and I don't think Duke can handle it.
Yeah, I think Duke's a little overrated, but you always have the coach. Let the coach go out with a big win. I do get nervous. I know a conspiracy theorist, but are they going to let Duke foul their way to victory just so Coach K can ride in like a knight in shining armor and lead his team to the championship?
I actually think at some level, and Coach K needs to be honored, but I think it's almost doing this squad of players a disservice to have all this hoopla around him. It's taking away from them playing basketball.
But at the end of the day, I mean, that's just the way it is. It's the retirement tour, and it happens with every athlete or coach, especially with one of his longevity. I don't think his team is as good as teams past.
No.
So I think Tech knuckles down on their defense. If you watch that Tech team, Jeff talked about it. So I was like, let me get on this bandwagon, because Jeff watches basketball way more than we do. And after watching them, and at the beginning of the my face is frozen there. I don't know if that's by design or not. But watching them play, now it's okay. I was on board, man, and I actually have them.
It is freezing up a little bit.
But I actually have them playing, in the championship on one side with UCLA. Those are my only two teams left, UCLA and Tech.
Texas Tech's my only team left.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, their defense is stout. And I bet the under on them when they played their last game, and it was 135, and I think it ended up at 107. So I was well under on that one.
Given their, I think it's either the second or the first. It's definitely the top 3 ranked defense in college basketball.
Yeah.
And I think taking the under is probably the best way to go.
Yeah. Who are they playing again? Duke.
They're playing Duke.
Do you know what's the over-under on that one?
I don't know. I'm not a degenerate gambler. I don't have these numbers at the top of my head.
Well, neither am I, but there might be people listening that are. I would say it's probably going to be about 132 or something. If I had to set my Vegas sports line kids. Maybe I can see here on this.
Okay, I'm pulling up Odd Shark right now. Wow, really?
Middle of the show. It's a doctor appointment. Okay, so it's Duke's getting a point in that game.
Okay.
I like Tech. Whatever it is, I like Tech. But don't count Duke out, because, these people are going to want to see the Krzyzewski tour continue. I'll tell you a team that's really surprised me coming off a 14-loss season right now is Michigan, man. And their bigs are solid. Adabo, I think his name is, and Dickerson. Diablo.
I mean, to go back real quick, the over-under line for Tech and Duke is 136.5.
That's a little bit higher than I thought.
Yeah, I would still take the under.
I would probably take the under.
You know, as to Michigan, and you look at what the Iowa State, Miami side as well, I think and this has been happening in college basketball probably the last 15, 20 years, you know, AAU and these mid-ranked teams are not bad. They're good. They can go on a run. Michigan, I think Michigan was lower seeded than they should have been. They probably should have been a 7 or 8. And I don't know whether that's bias against an anger management failure in Juwan Howard.
But what were they seeded? Weren't they like 11?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have my bracket in front of me because you're looking at it.
Probably, you know, if you look at their win-loss record, they did lose 14 games, which was a lot. But just still to be in it with that many losses tells you what folks thought I'm going into the tournament. But I watched them play. Their bigs can step out and hit threes. They got a point guard that, you know, they had the freshmen step up big. So now they can rotate the freshman in and out with the guy that went down for 2 games, their other guard. Look out for Michigan. And
no, I mean, look out for Michigan. I heard somebody say this, that they kind of made a blowhardy statement and said, you know, if you're in one of the major conferences and you make the dance, you shouldn't be any lower than an 8. And it was specifically about Michigan. I think Michigan probably should not have been lower than an 8.
Probably not. Villanova, if they step out and can hit the threes, they're going to go up against a physical Michigan team. The keys to victory for Villanova are they really have to push the ball, and their point guards are going to have to hit the threes. Mm-hmm. Having said that, again, I think it's going to be an under. It's 135. I took the under in that one. The main thing about college basketball, if you guys watch it and have any kind of betting interest on over-unders, is the fact that these games can be well under. And then the last 2 minutes, if a team's 6 or 7 points down, they just start fouling. And it's basically a free throw shooting contest. And so the last 2 minutes can be 12, 15 points just in free throws. And that can really mess up a game line. But, man, I don't know what to do. I hate Michigan. I have another guy that's I have a friendly bet with on the side. He's got him in the Final Four, so I can't take him on principle alone. I'm going to take Villanova in that game. Who are you going to take, Bob?
Oh, the Michigan. I'll take Michigan. I'll ride them. I think we still have a lot more chaos ahead in this tournament.
There might be, but I don't see too much. Arkansas, Gonzaga. I watch Arkansas. Overrated, number 4 seed. They suck. I jumped on an 8.5 line about 5 days ago. As soon as it came out, line's 9.5 now. I think Gonzaga wins big. I've never seen in recent memory a college basketball team with such quick transition offense as Gonzaga. I will tell you this, man. Once you make a bucket on Gonzaga, and I think Jeff will sit here and tell you the same thing, you had better be ready because they are pushing that ball up quick.
You know, this and this game actually highlights something. You know, as we were coming into this, I heard of more than a few pundits talking about the strength of the SEC in this tournament. Where'd they all go?
They got their basketball mixed up with their football, I guess.
Is Arkansas the last one of the SEC that we have to deal with?
Yeah, I believe so. And I wouldn't thunk it. I mean, I watched Arkansas. I haven't been impressed. It doesn't even look like they're running play. I don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
So I don't know who you like in that one, but I like Gonzaga to win and cover.
I would go with Gonzaga, and then in there, and then it's Gonzaga, Texas Tech in the finals if it goes.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but if it goes to form, the other game is, man, the Vice Slamma Jamma team redo, Houston and Arizona. Now, Arizona's been one of those teams that's just kind of been off my radar, but they just keep winning. They're ranked number one. But other than who I thought was one of the most physical teams and athletic teams in the tournament, Memphis, who just got literally winded out by Gonzaga. That's what made me a real believer in Gonzaga, was watching all the Memphis players with their hands on their hips. And I thought they were a real physical, not necessarily a physical team, but an athletic team. Probably the second most athletic team to me in the tournament is Houston. They have a nice athletic team, and they're kind of slipping in under the radar.
Well, Arizona scored at least 81 points in 8 straight games and 12 of their last 13. But they've also allowed at least 69 in 11 of their last 12.
That still translates into an 11-point win advantage.
It does. And I think I see Arizona going forward on that one.
Yeah, I do. Of the Thursday games, I believe these are all tomorrow night games. I will say if I had to pick an upset of all of them, it would be actually Houston.
Okay.
Houston, if I had to pick an upsetter in that one. But Arizona shall obviously move on, which means that probably if we got things going the way we think they should, Arizona would play. Who would Arizona play, Bob?
Villanova.
Okay. And
for you and for me, Michigan.
And then Tech and UCLA?
No, Tech and Gonzaga in the West.
Gonzaga, yeah.
And then let's go down. Let's go down to the East.
Purdue and UCLA?
Come on, you're not going to pull for St. Peter's?
They're going to get their asses kicked.
Well, that's what everyone said about them against Kentucky.
Yeah, but they're going to get their asses kicked.
Okay.
I'm trying to see what the line is going to be for that game.
Which one? The St. Peter's Purdue?
Yes.
12.5 over under 136.5.
That's on Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not actually looking at the exact schedule. I got the book open.
Okay. So what was the line again?
12.5.
Okay. I gave the 12.5. I think Gonzaga.
Purdue.
I mean, I watched Purdue. Their bigs are kind of, they're going to wear down a team that's really thin. I mean, you got your 5 starters, they're solid, but I just don't know if that bench can keep up with the Purdue bigs leaning on them all game. I watched Purdue. They're kind of methodical. I like their point guard play. You got that big in the middle who I think is going to be hard to stop if you can feed him the ball. Mm-hmm. So I think the Cinderella run ends with those guys and Purdue moves on.
Probably.
And then who else do we have?
Well, you have the UCLA game.
Okay, that's who I had as my national championship team, which I don't know why, but you can't predict these things, so I just said, why not?
I mean, this game is interesting just on the history. I mean,
yeah,
blue bloods, they are so blue in their blue blood, it's almost dark blue.
I know.
Navy blue.
And after UNC survived that 25-point comeback from a really good Baylor team who a lot of people had to win in the championship, that might be what they needed. Hey, we survived the best that college basketball had to offer, and now it's time to.
That never happens. The team that lost the momentum going into overtime, and I mean, you can't say never because they just did it, but that very, very rarely happens.
Yeah,
they lost all the momentum. Yeah, you don't give up that and then win in overtime, and they did. Good for them.
Yeah, I had a work buddy, and I had UNC, and I was just like ready to throw my shoe through a TV because they had that big lead, and then all of a sudden it's going into overtime. And I didn't think the momentum would carry, but it did.
Yep.
So on that one, tough one, who do you think moves on?
So UCLA Purdue for you?
UCLA Purdue.
I don't know. It's a coin flip for me. I think probably UCLA. I would,
Yeah.
if you forced me to bet, I'd say UCLA.
And then who's in the other? What's the other Saturday game?
Oh, this is the Kansas bracket.
Well, Kansas hasn't shit the bed yet. Everyone thinks that they're going to, like they do every tournament season, they're still alive. They may have the easiest path.
Well, yeah, because down in that you have an 11 and a 10 seed playing to make it to the Elite Eight. You have Iowa State and Miami. So
the path is pretty easy for Kansas, but you never know with them. Right when you think that they're going to do it, they have a big letdown. But I guess you got to go with Kansas.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll to the line on that. There it is.
Miami's stepped up onto the Kansas one. So you got Kansas in that one?
Yeah, Kansas favored by 8, over under at 141.5.
Okay. So who's your revised national champions? I can't change mine because I've already picked who I thought would be.
I'm not going to get off the Texas Tech bandwagon.
Okay.
That defense is good, and I think that'll ride them into the Final Four. And then we can talk next week.
So we'll be on a collision course because I got UCLA, and obviously those two teams would have to play each other.
Yep.
The other thing that annoys me about UCLA is not necessarily their play. It's that point guard with that dead raccoon on top of his head. Just watching him run around the court is extremely annoying.
Do you sit out on your front porch and tell kids to get off your lawn too?
Can you pull a picture of that kid?
Probably.
It's super freaking annoying, dude.
Why? It's the style. It's the style.
No, this style should be outlawed. It may be an animal living on top of his head.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with this.
Did you see it? Can you pull it up?
I don't want to pull it up. I don't want to foster this.
Now we got the fans wondering, what's got my panties in the water.
Give me a second. Pull it up for you. I'm also going to find the lawn for you to tell.
Hey, if anyone's still watching, one of the things we want you to do is just come down here. We got to put all this together, the backdrops, the production. If you just hit the like and subscribe button. If you're watching live now, just take a minute to do that for us. It really helps out and keeps the content alive. Again, we're in San Antonio, Texas. I got friends from Ohio to Florida, from everywhere. So if you're ever in the San Antonio area, got a seat right here for you. Come up, have a hot sports opinion.
Yeah, I am really looking forward to all the traffic downtown, talking about being from San Antonio, the fact that we have Michigan, Villanova, and Houston, and Arizona here.
That's right. We're going to be showing the games.
I want to physically hurt every tourist that comes into this town.
Oh, that's Bob.
I'm just hate. I'm just hate.
You're full of hate.
But you're full of hate for this.
Well, that's not that bad. It's when it's not See, that breezing in the air is not bad. It's when it's laying flat. But I don't know. I'm just expecting something, a little squirrel to pop out of there, or maybe a nest of robins.
And this is what I think of your opinion.
That's pretty much what everybody thinks, in my opinion.
That's okay.
So anyway, we covered that. I'm going to go with UCLA. Bob's going to go with Texas Tech.
I'm going to ride with Texas Tech and just totally ignore the other half of the bracket that is.
And it'll probably be Gonzaga and Kansas.
Might be, or Gonzaga, Arizona, which I would probably puke that we would get chalk at the very end. Out of this season, that we would end up with chalk in the national championship.
Yeah, well, it happens.
I know.
Football news. I know you'd love to talk about football this time of year, but there's a lot of news going on. Tyreek Hill is gone. Is that going to hurt or help the Chiefs?
The Chiefs have other problems.
Okay.
Whether it's defenses in the AFC have figured them out, or whatever's going on, it's almost like they rode a high into the Super Bowl, lost the Super Bowl, and then almost lost their way. Kind of.
Okay. But I do like the fact that they're willing to say, you know what, we're going to go out on a limb here. I'll tell you, one of the biggest mistakes is when I play the stock market, when I hang on to a stock too long when I should have traded it. And I kind of feel like Casey's playing the stock market right now and saying, you know what, we got Tariq Evans. I'm not sure how old he is, but he's been a premier receiver for 5 years. So at best, and I guess Miami did sign into a 4-year deal, at best, he has another 4 years to be upper echelon. But having said that, Miami gave away a tremendous amount of draft capital to get him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if they got the right quarterback to feed him the ball. So and I'll tell you, the quarterback for KC, Mahomes, was a better guy to feed him the ball than Tua's going to be.
True, but we were talking before the show, and I was reflecting a little bit. I think, if I remember right, the Brian Flores leaving kerfuffle, that Tua was management's bet, gamble, whatever you want to call it, and Flores wasn't so much on board with it. So I don't know if I see Tua moving on, or them moving on from Tua.
Well, they might not, but having said that, if you had to grade the trade, who got the better of it?
I think they probably gave away too much.
Too much. And a monster. He becomes the highest paid wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, we're looking at a draft class that's actually pretty wide receiver heavy.
Yeah.
So
that's, and to your point, very wide receiver. So I could see like a Garrett Wilson from my beloved Ohio State Buckeyes. If you're watching, maybe a guy like him slip into KC. And they get a lot of picks in the draft. So you know what? Casey had an off year. I remember people writing him off at the beginning of the year when they were I think they started the season like 4-7.
Yeah, it was a horrible slump.
And they came on strong. They're not standing pat. They're willing to let their star receiver go and say, you know what, we're going to continue to build for the future. So we'll see what happens there. The big thing right now is I can't see Steeler Nation ever accepting Baker Mayfield as their quarterback. So there was some conversations about that, but I don't see Trubisky being the answer either. You seem to be more of a Trubisky fan than I do.
I have a friend who periodically listens to the show who thinks that was the worst thing the Bears ever did, drafting Trubisky. He goes very racist, calls him a Pollock. Okay. I think Trubisky's problem with the Bears wasn't Trubisky. I think Trubisky's problem with the Bears was the Bears. The Bears for me is almost a Midwest analog of the New York Jets.
Yeah.
They can't get out of their own way, and they ruin people. They ruin people's careers. So maybe Trubisky opens up and becomes great. Like everyone's draft pick on him, everyone's draft grade on him was high.
Okay.
So I think with that defense and that and the rest of the team are out there, I think the Steelers are successful.
Okay.
And Dwayne Haskins doesn't take a snap in the regular season
for the second season in a row. Well, I think the Steeler defense sucks. It has some holes in it. I think Trubisky is not the answer. I think the Steelers finished easily last in that division.
It's not exactly an easy division.
It's not. It's a tough division. But look at the upgrades. The Bengals have definitely gotten better. They got a couple offensive linemen, the Cowboy lineman, who's very good.
Yeah.
So that's a huge upgrade from what they had. They've retained their defense for the most part, their core players. The wide receivers, I'll take their 2 wide receivers. We're going to have some tight end issues now. We may have to address that in the draft since we lost Boyd, but we have the 2 best receivers I'll take pound for pound in the league.
Okay.
With Higgins and Chase, and a young quarterback who's in his 3rd season, who got sacked 72 some odd times in the regular season, 19 in the post, and went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's see what they do in the draft. What did I say after the Super Bowl? that their draft priorities in the first round should be offensive line, in the second round, offensive line, in the third round, offensive line.
But things have changed now with some free agent signings, and they've drafted 2 very solid offensive linemen, very capable. So that need may have dropped down to maybe the third round now, and you get yourself a tight end, or maybe pick up a linebacker, or maybe another defensive back. So their needs have changed, as has Cleveland. I think this time last week we were writing off Cleveland. They were out of the sweepstakes and stuck with an unhappy quarterback in Cleveland, being Baker Mayfield. So to me, the big winner this year of all the NFL teams has been Cleveland. And the reason I say that is,
because they won the soon to be suspended quarterback lottery.
Well, they gave up a lot of capital to get him, as far as money. But I think in their mind, and we'll just have to see what happens.
They're banking. They are planning that Deshaun Watson doesn't take a snap in the regular season, because from the way they've structured this, they've given him a 40 some odd $1 million signing bonus. His first year salary is $1 million.
Okay.
They are planning on him not playing.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that Baker Mayfield will not be there when he's there. So maybe, just maybe, what they're doing is waiting to see what the league does with Watson before they move Baker.
I don't think the league's going to move on any suspension until we get to July or August. So they have to move on finding a veteran who's okay with exactly what that role is going to be. You talk like maybe not Ryan Fitzpatrick, but somebody like Ryan Fitzpatrick,
kind of a serviceable
journeyman quarterback to lead that team while Watson is sitting out of suspension.
Like you said, some of the retreads, the Foles, the Fitzpatricks. Yeah. Whatever happened to that kid from Washington that did they cut him loose after Washington signed their quarterback?
Which one? Taylor Heineke?
Heineke?
I have no idea.
Maybe even Heineke type, just to kind of be there to kind of keep the ship afloat.
I think you need somebody better than that. If you're unless you, as the Cleveland front office, is willing to write off the season and go, this season is a pass.
I don't think Cleveland's ready to go a la Houston right off the season, but what they have now is some draft capital, and if they can, I could see a draft day trade involving Baker maybe before that. But I think you could easily, with a team in need, get a first rounder from Mayfield and maybe another player in a second next year and a third next year. Because if you look at his numbers, forget the man, what's going on between the ears, forget all the stupid commercials and his.
Oh, I like his commercials.
Whining.
I like his commercials.
They're so stupid, and forget all his constant whining. Look at him on paper, and he's a solid NFL quarterback, starting NFL quarterback.
Yeah, so is Kirk Cousins, but he's going to lose you the game in the fourth quarter.
What I'm saying is, for a team in need, that's the kind of that needs a quarterback to maybe take it to the next level. That's your guy.
I don't know.
Goes, maybe Seattle. You'd said, I could see maybe moving into Miami. They trade Tioga for draft picks. If Miami's smart, okay, if I'm a Miami Dolphin, I'm trading Tua while he's still got some draft capital, and then I'm making a trade for the Browns, and I'm getting help me out here.
Mayfield.
I'm getting Mayfield to feed Tyreek Hill some balls, because at the end of the day, the guy's got an arm, and Tyreek Hill needs someone to catch the football.
No.
And I don't know if Tua is that guy. He just doesn't have the arm strength for me to be a consistent NFL passer that's going to throw the ball 25 to 35 times a game like a Baker Mayfield can. So Miami, if you're listening, Alan, my brother, if you're listening, big Dolphin fan, get on the horn and try to get Baker.
Yeah,
that's where I'd go with that.
I mean, you have the Saints out there right now. You have the Falcons out there right now. They're kind of on the outside looking in. If I'm a quarterback and I want success, I don't want to be in the AFC.
Well, there's no doubt. It's just tougher right now.
Yeah.
Was there any other draft trade moves this week in the NFL?
I mean, we had, Wentz going to the Commanders. We have Ryan going
Where's
to
my
the
sound pad
Colts.
so I can hit the fart sound?
Maybe that's the reason why I didn't give it to you.
I mean, Wentz.
I gave it to you last week and you didn't use it.
I know. I'm trying to wean myself off of it. Yeah, I mean, Wentz is Wentz. No big deal. I don't see that being an upgrade. So other than that, there are going to be some moves. Some more dominoes have to fall. What else you got to talk about, man? That was really the gist of it to me tonight was the college basketball and the football.
Well, I'm glad Jeff's not here because I could talk Formula One. We kicked off the season. Lewis Hamilton on the outside looking in, Red Bull having some major reliability issues and totally DNFing, but Ferrari going 1-2.
I got a question to ask you. Should a transgender athlete be allowed to compete with the females? Honest opinion. Let's have an honest conversation.
If the athlete is following the rules as promulgated, then yes.
I think the big argument right now is, Bob, is, the women had to fight so hard for, I believe, the Title IX and to get themselves recognized. And a lot of these women are saying, I spent my entire life, trying to compete and be the best woman I could be. And now I have an individual who, I don't knock personal choices, whatever you want to do, that's your business. But their contention is now I'm competing with someone who is born a man. And if you pull up a picture of, I forget the individual's name, those are some big ass shoulders. She looks like Phelps.
Well, here's, I was thinking about this the other day. Where do you draw the line on advantage? Where do you say that an athlete has an unfair advantage over another? You look at Michael Phelps over me in the pool. He has a huge genetic advantage over me.
Okay.
With lung capacity, cardiovascular, the length of his body and the make of his body. And if you look at female swimmers and you look at them from behind and you don't and you take away the razorback of their one piece,
right?
Those are stout shoulders across the board.
Okay.
For women swimmers. What I think is a very hard thing to do is to figure out where that limit is. And it sounds like, it sounds like the rules are going to change a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Would you be on board if Michael Phelps had a sex change and then started competing in the women's swimming Olympics? Would he have a unfair advantage?
After all of it's not.
That's the point. You see the point I'm trying to make.
It's not a win decision. It's not. I can't win as a man, therefore I'm going to become a woman to win.
But so you're saying that is then what are you saying? To me, that is the point. I can't win as a man, but I'm feeling this way about my body, which again is your choice. But since I'm feeling this way about my body and I've competed in men's sports in the same venue, well, now I can become a winner in female sports. And I just think at the end of the day, something has to be figured out. I don't know if there can be a transgender situation. I don't know if there's
I don't think that's the answer. I think sitting down with actual medical doctors, actual folks that understand the physiology and the physiological changes that hormone therapy sends a male body through, or a female body if it's a trans man, to sit down and figure out, okay, where do we put what's an unfair advantage and what's just what we're going to be okay with? Because if I have a swimmer who was born with a genetic and 20, 30 years ago, we call it a deformity, that totally webbed feet, total webbed feet, like duck webbed hands. Is that an advantage in the pool?
Well, Tom Dempsey played with half a foot. I think that was probably an advantage. Remember when he kicked field goals back in the 70s?
So if I'm a swimmer and I go to my doctor and I say, make my hands webbed.
Okay, but that gets into the discussion of how you were born. So if you were born with webbed feet, I don't think that that's how you were born. So I don't think that should be changed.
Okay. Take that away.
Surgically manipulating your body to compete in a different genre, sport.
So if I go to the doctor and I say, doctor, make my hands webbed, and I'm a tier 3 swimmer in college, should I be allowed to swim competitively?
Well, I hope you've just probably given so many people ideas. Now we're just going to have a whole new generation of web swimmers.
Well, I think it's almost it's hard to judge people's good faith belief in what they're doing and the motivations behind it. And if you could tap into someone's mind and say, are you doing this purely just to win some medal? Then no. But
typically when you're competing in the Olympics, that's your goal, or any kind of college sports, or in the goal to get the trophy, not to participate.
Well, what I'm saying is her motivation in what she's going through, her transition, is her motivation to be the person that she believes she is, or is her motivation, I'm going to win some titles? And she didn't win everything.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. If she had such an unfair advantage, she would have won everything.
Yeah.
You look at the UFC trans woman who allegedly beats the crap out of every woman, has actually lost 2 other women.
Yeah.
If it is such an unfair advantage, they would win every time.
Yeah.
It would be Tom Brady competing in the bloody effing Super Bowl. He has an advantage.
Maybe the trans athletes may be raising the competition bar up for the women. Who knows? But it's something we're not going to solve tonight.
No, and the other thing that's hard for me on this whole thing is to be fair and empathetic with all of the sides on this.
Yeah.
Because they're humans. They're all human beings. They're all someone's daughter. They're all someone's son.
Yeah.
They all have parents, and everyone loves these folks. So it's being sensitive and not making it a freak show.
And one thing we can all agree on, they, us, everyone, we all have a passion for sports. That's why we're here. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Hopefully, Jeff will be back next week. Thanks, Brother Bob. Good show.
Absolutely.
And we will probably be down to the national championship. Who's going to be in it this time?
I am looking forward to not having a team in the Final Four because I've totally screwed up my bracket. This happens every year.
That's okay.
Okay.
We'll catch y'all next week.
And we're out.